When you hear the word scientist, what pops into your head? Probably lab coats, right? Beakers bubbling away? Well, what if I told you that thinking like a scientist is something anyone can do? It's really just a powerful way of looking at the world, and today we're going to explore exactly how.
So let's start with a delicious mystery. Have you ever really looked at a perfectly puffed up puri? If you have, you might have noticed that one side is way thinner than the other. It sounds like such a small thing, doesn't it? But that little observation, that spark of curiosity, well, that's the beginning of all scientific discovery. It's a puzzle you can solve right in your own kitchen.
Okay, so to answer questions like this, whether it's about a puri or, the entire universe, you need a specific kind of mindset. It's one that perfectly balances two really powerful and kind of opposite ideas.
This image here just captures that philosophy perfectly. You've got a plant, totally anchored by its roots deep in the ground, and then you have a kite, just flying free up in the sky. So what on earth could these two things have in common with science? Well, as it turns out, everything. Let's break this metaphor down a little. The root, that's all about being grounded in reality. It's about making careful observations, building on facts, on what we actually know. But the kite, that's our curiosity. That's our imagination. It's the part that asks, what if? And lets our ideas soar into totally new territory.
And here is the absolute key. You need both. Real investigation isn't just about collecting facts, and it's not just wild guessing. The real magic happens when you connect the two, when solid, grounded observations launch these incredible, high-flying questions.
All right, so let's see how this whole root and kite way of thinking can help us tackle a whole universe of questions, from stuff that's microscopic to things that are totally cosmic. This mindset helps us explore the world we can't even see, the world of microbes. I mean, a single drop of water can hold an entire universe of tiny organisms. Some are vital for our health, others can make us really sick. And it's scientific investigation that helps us understand this hidden world and develop amazing tools, like vaccines, to protect ourselves. It also helps us understand the fundamental forces that shape our entire planet. The same principles of air pressure that create a gentle breeze can also unleash the awesome power of a cyclone. By observing and questioning, we learn how to predict and prepare for these huge natural events. This same way of thinking helps us explore the nature of light itself. It explains everything from how a simple mirror works to the beautiful phases of the moon. And think about this. Our calendars, the things that organize our entire lives, they only exist because people carefully observed these cycles in the sky for centuries. And it also reveals the super intricate web of connections in our ecosystems. Every single living thing, from the smallest microbe we talked about to the tallest tree, is part of a complex system. Understanding these relationships is absolutely vital for protecting the delicate balance of life on Earth. So, after that quick little tour of the universe, let's bring it all the way back home, back into the kitchen, and back to that puri. Because here's the secret. Science isn't a place, it's a process. It's a way of thinking. You don't need a lab coat or a bunch of fancy equipment to be an investigator. All you really need is curiosity. We can actually apply the formal scientific method right here. First, we ask our question. Then, we identify the variables, the things we can change, like the dough's thickness or the oil's temperature. We decide what to observe. Does it puff up? How long does that take? And here's the most important part. We control the experiment. If you want to test the oil's temperature, you have to keep everything else, like the dough, exactly the same. You only change one thing at a time. And this is the most exciting part. A good investigation doesn't just give you answers, it gives you better questions. Does fresh dough work better? What happens if you poke a hole in it? Each new question leads to a whole new experiment, and that is exactly how science progresses. So, after all of this, what's the big takeaway here? What does it really mean to have an investigator's mindset? It comes down to this single amazing fact. This quote is both humbling and so exciting. It reminds us that even in the most familiar, everyday things, there are profound mysteries left to explore. Science isn't just a book of finished answers, it's a never-ending adventure. The power to investigate is in your hands, in your kitchen, your backyard, anywhere you look. All it takes is a question. The only tools you really need are observation and curiosity. So keep your roots firmly on the ground, but let your kite of curiosity soar. Stay curious.